What if I told you that some of the most fulfilling, intimate experiences of your life might still be ahead of you? Recent scientific research has revealed something remarkable about intimacy after 60 that challenges everything we've been told about aging. In the next 15 minutes, I'm sharing 5 groundbreaking discoveries that could transform how you think about connection, confidence, and pleasure in your golden years. The third discovery completely changed how I counsel my patients, and it might surprise you too. Stay with me, because this isn't just about getting older, it's about getting better. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like society expects you to put intimacy on the shelf after a certain age? That somehow passion and connection are reserved for the young? I've spent over 2 decades working with people just like you, and I'm here to tell you that's not just wrong, it's scientifically disproven. What I'm about to share comes from cutting-edge research that shows intimacy can actually improve with age. Before I discovered this research, I was giving the same outdated advice that most healthcare providers still give today. But everything changed when I started listening to what people were actually experiencing rather than what textbooks claimed they should be experiencing. Today, I'll reveal 5 scientific discoveries that explain why many people over 60 report their most satisfying intimate experiences ever. I'll break down the neuroscience, share real transformation stories, and give you practical steps to apply these insights in your own life. And I've created a free guide called The Confidence Connection that goes deeper into these concepts. I'll tell you how to get it at the end. The first discovery might surprise you because it has nothing to do with technique or physical changes. It's about something much more fundamental, self-acceptance. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 72-year-old woman who came to see me after her husband passed away. She had met someone new, but was terrified of being intimate again. "I'm not the woman I was at 40, she told me. "How could anyone find me desirable now?" What Eleanor didn't realize, what many people don't understand, is that self-acceptance isn't just about feeling better. It actually creates neurological changes that enhance pleasure. Here's the science. When you're constantly worried about how you look or perform, your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol is kryptonite to pleasure. It literally blocks the neural pathways that allow you to experience satisfaction. But research from the University of Michigan shows something fascinating. People who embrace their bodies as they age report 37% more satisfaction in their intimate lives than those who don't. The neuroscience is clear. When you accept yourself, your brain releases oxytocin and dopamine instead of cortisol. These are the exact chemicals that create feelings of pleasure and connection. Eleanor began a simple daily practice, standing in front of a mirror and identifying 3 things she appreciated about her body. Not what she wished was different, but what she genuinely valued. After 3 weeks, something shifted. "I started seeing myself through kinder eyes," she told me. "And when I did, I stopped hiding. That changed everything." The first discovery is this. Self-acceptance is the foundation of pleasure at any age, but it becomes your superpower after 60. The second discovery reveals a counterintuitive truth about performance and pleasure. For decades, you've probably been bombarded with messages about what intimate success looks like. But here's what they don't tell you. When you let go of performance expectations, you create space for much deeper satisfaction. Margaret, a 8-year-old patient, described it perfectly. "I spent my younger years worrying about doing everything right. Now I realize all that worry was actually preventing me from being present." The neuroscience here is fascinating. When you focus on performance, you activate the analytical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. But pleasure actually happens in a different part of the brain entirely. Brain scans show that during peak pleasure experiences, the prefrontal cortex becomes less active. In other words, you can't analyze your way to pleasure. You have to let go. This doesn't mean you don't care about the experience. It means you stop treating intimacy like a test you need to pass and start approaching it as an exploration with no right or wrong answers. Margaret told me that once she started practicing this mindful approach, she experienced more intensity than she had in her 30 and 40. It's like I finally got out of my own way, she said. Try this. The next time you're intimate, notice when your mind starts analyzing or worrying about performance. When that happens, gently bring your attention back to your senses, what you feel, hear, and experience in the moment. The second discovery. Freedom from performance pressure unlocks pleasure you never knew was possible. The third discovery is the one that completely changed how I counsel my patients, and it's something most medical professionals still don't discuss. For years, the medical community has focused on the mechanics of intimacy. What works, what doesn't, how to fix problems. But they've missed something crucial: the power of connection over outcome. Barbara, a 5-year-old widow who had started dating again, came to me frustrated. Everything feels different now, she said. Nothing works the way it used to. I asked her what she meant by works, and her answer revealed everything. She was measuring success by the same standards she'd used in her 30s. What Barbara discovered, and what research now confirms, is that when you shift your focus from achieving specific outcomes to deepening connection, something remarkable happens in your brain. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Sex Research found that people over 65 who focused on emotional connection during intimacy reported more consistent and powerful pleasure than those focused on specific physical responses. Here's why. When you focus on connection, your brain releases a cocktail of neurochemicals oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin that not only enhance physical pleasure, but create a sense of well-being that extends far beyond the bedroom. This is why many people report that their intimate experiences become more satisfying as they age, even as their bodies change. They've unconsciously shifted their focus from performance to connection. How can you make this shift? Start by expanding your definition of intimacy. Rather than focusing exclusively on traditional outcomes, explore the full spectrum of connection, from deep conversation to gentle touch, from shared laughter to quiet moments of simply being together. Barbara took this advice to heart. 6 months later, she told me, "I've stopped trying to recreate what I had in my younger years and started discovering something new and, honestly, better." The third discovery. Connection creates chemistry that transcends physical limitations. The fourth discovery challenges one of society's most damaging myths, that youth equals skill and desirability. The truth is that your decades of experience and wisdom don't just make you a better conversationalist, they can make you a more confident and skilled intimate partner. Judith, a 71-year-old patient, put it beautifully. "In my 30s, I was so insecure that I couldn't even tell my husband what I wanted. Now I know myself. I know what brings me pleasure, and I'm not afraid to communicate that." Research from the University of California found that people in their 60s and 70s report higher levels of sexual self-efficacy belief in their ability to express their needs and boundaries than people in their 40s and 50s. This self-knowledge translates directly to more satisfying experiences. When you know what you want and can communicate it clearly, you're much more likely to receive it. But there's more to it than just communication. With age comes perspective. The things that might have seemed embarrassing or awkward in your younger years often become less important. You develop a sense of humor about the human body and its quirks. This perspective is neurologically significant. When you approach intimacy with playfulness rather than pressure, you activate the brain's pleasure centers more easily. To embrace this advantage, try making a wisdom inventory. Write down 3 insights about intimacy that you understand now that you didn't when you were younger. Reflect on how these insights can enhance your current experiences. Judith did this exercise and realized that her younger self was so concerned with being desirable that she rarely focused on her own desire. "Now, I know that my pleasure matters too," she told me. And ironically, that confidence is incredibly attractive. The fourth discovery result. Your wisdom and experience are intimate superpowers, not limitations. The fifth discovery is perhaps the most practical, but requires the most courage. Learning to communicate your needs without embarrassment. Many people I work with were raised in an era when discussing intimate needs was taboo. They learn to be silent about their desires or to feel shame about having needs at all. Ruth, an 82-year-old patient, told me she had never once in her 60-year marriage directly asked for what she wanted. "I always thought it was selfish," she said. But here's what the research shows. Clear communication about needs and preferences doesn't diminish intimacy, it deepens it. A study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that couples who could openly discuss their intimate needs reported 62% higher satisfaction than those who avoided these conversations. The neurological explanation is simple. When you suppress your needs, you create tension in your body and mind. This tension blocks the very pleasure pathways you're trying to activate. Conversely, when you express your needs clearly, you release that tension and create space for genuine connection and pleasure. So how do you start communicating needs if you've spent decades staying silent? Begin with positive statements rather than criticisms. Instead of "I don't like when you do X," try "I really enjoy when you do Y." Use I statements to express your experience. "I feel most connected when we take our time," rather than "you always rush." And remember that communication doesn't have to be verbal. Guiding a partner's hand, responding enthusiastically to what feels good, or even creating simple signals can be effective ways to communicate. Ruth decided to start small. She told her husband one thing she particularly enjoyed, framing it as an appreciation rather than a criticism. His response shocked me, she told me later. He was grateful for the guidance. "All these years, I thought speaking up would hurt his feelings, but it actually brought us closer." The fifth discovery result. Honest communication is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. We've just uncovered 5 scientific discoveries that explain why intimacy can peak after 60. First, self-acceptance creates the neurological foundation for pleasure by replacing stress hormones with bonding chemicals. Second, letting go of performance pressure allows your brain's pleasure centers to activate fully. Third, focusing on connection over outcomes triggers a powerful cocktail of satisfaction-enhancing neurochemicals. Fourth, your wisdom and experience give you advantages in communication and confidence that younger people simply don't have. And fifth, honest communication about your needs creates the conditions for deeper intimacy and satisfaction. These aren't just nice ideas, they're backed by neuroscience and the lived experiences of thousands of people who have discovered that their most fulfilling intimate moments came after 60, not before. I want to emphasize something important. Making these shifts isn't always easy. We're challenging decades of conditioning and cultural messages. Be patient with yourself. Start with the discovery that resonates most strongly with you and build from there. Remember Eleanor, who learned to appreciate her body as it is now? 6 months after she began her mirror practice, she told me, "For the first time in my life, I feel fully present during intimacy. I'm not worrying about how I look or what my partner is thinking. I'm just experiencing the moment. And it's wonderful." These people aren't exceptional. They simply gave themselves permission to challenge old beliefs and embrace new possibilities. You deserve that same permission. Your capacity for pleasure and connection doesn't diminish with age. It evolves, deepens, and can reach heights you might never have imagined. And if you'd like to continue this conversation, I have another video about embracing the physical changes that occur with aging and how to work with them rather than against them. You'll find it right here on your screen. Remember, your most powerful experiences might still be ahead of you. The science is clear. Age isn't a limitation, it's an advantage waiting to be claimed. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.